Hi, everyone, and welcome back to F22, where we bring all things photography into focus. This show is brought to you by VSCO, and in this episode, I'm speaking with Liza Gershman, who is an extremely accomplished photographer and a best-selling author. If you don't know her, she has 19 published books and 2 decades of industry experience in publishing, commercial and editorial photography, and of course in writing. She's also an educator, and she's worked with the likes of Creative Live, Restoration Hardware, National Geographic, Williams-Sonoma, and Canon USA, just to name a few. So I'm actually splitting this interview up into 2 parts because Liza recently partnered with us here at VSCO to curate a gallery space during Miami Art Basel at the Scope Art Show. And in this first part of the conversation, we talk about the gallery and the art show and her process in curating and creating all of this and how she partners with so many people and organizations to make all this happen. And we just look at the show itself and how it went. And it's really inspirational and amazing. But then in the second part of the conversation, we get into her incredible career and how she's been so successful. And she is full of just some absolutely priceless advice. So be sure to check out part 2 as well. But without further ado, let's get into part 1 of the interview with Liza Gershman. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to F22, Liza Gershman.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so awesome to have you. Maybe just start by telling us who you are, where you are, the kind of work you do, just so that people that maybe don't know about you can get to know a little bit about you.
Fantastic. I am a multidisciplinary creator, as the VSCO team likes to call me, a multi-hyphenate, which means that I create in many genres, and ultimately I'm a storyteller. I've been telling stories my entire life, and I've been doing them through photography, writing, event design, interiors, and costumes. Those are all of my main genres. And
wow.
Yeah. And primarily, my work with VSCO has been so fun because it's been a combination of my passions and skill sets. And I've been able to do some writing for VSCO, share some photographs, and also curate and design an installation for VSCO at Scope, which is the largest contemporary art fair in America, which we just came back from. It was last week. So in Miami Beach, South Beach, 2024. It was under a giant tent on the sand, and 100,000 people came through the exhibit over the course of the week.
Wow. I mean, I'm still stuck on the fact that you mentioned costume design. Now I have to see that. But yeah, you have been doing some amazing work with VSCO. It's been really a privilege to have you with us. And I really want to talk about this Scope show. You mentioned it's I think you said the largest. Say that again. Yeah.
It's the largest contemporary art show in North America. And it happens once a year, every December. And there are many, many different art fairs under the large umbrella called Miami Art Week. So within Miami, most people call that Art Basel. And within Art Week, we have a fair called Art Basel. There's a fair called Red Dot. There's a fair called Scope, which is where we were. And then there are many gallery openings and pop-ups and hotels doing exhibits. It's just art everywhere. It's a city of art, which is so incredible. Miami has coined themselves the city of the future, and they're doing that in so many ways. One way is through technology, and one way is through art. And that is why I thought that this would be the perfect marriage for VSCO to come to the forefront and engage with the audience and the consumer and art buyers and appreciators in this space.
Wow. Okay. So it's an art gallery, an art show within a much larger event that's happening. And if we were there, like, what would we see?
Great question. Well, it's so meta because it's a show within a show within a show.
Right.
Scope is multiple disciplines. So when you're inside of Scope, you can see everything ranging from photography to painting, NFTs, sculpture, installations. And so our exhibit inside of Scope was more of an installation than a traditional gallery show. So in a traditional gallery show, you might see images in black frames with white mats on a white wall. What we were able to create, which was so exciting for me, is my vision came to life, and the VSCO team was so gracious to let me do this, to collaborate with other photographers that I admire, there were 9 of us in the show, and the 8 others were all former students of mine from when I was a professor, and a former colleague, and then a former contemporary, or a current contemporary, I should say. Wow. And so with the 9 of us, we also partnered with a Nørdikka Collective. They're a very high-end Nordic furniture design company. And so when I was designing the space, I was thinking about how do we present our images best. My background is also in book publishing. I have 19 published books. That's part of how I bring my writing and photography together in my storytelling experience. And when I'm creating a book, I'm thinking ultimately about the design of a book. And I'm thinking every image I take, I'm thinking, what will this look like on the page? What will the cover be? What will the font be? And so it was important to me that people would come and have an experience with us so that it was more memorable than just photos on a wall.
That's amazing. And just so we know, like the people that are there, is it all just like, appreciators of art? Is it gallery owners? Who is walking around these halls, seeing this stuff?
Such a great question. 100,000 people come through the show, and it's a mixture of VIPs on the preview day, and those range from buyers and gallery owners and collectors. And then as the week expands and the space opens up, then you also have students and just curious visitors and people who are there for the party and the excitement. Kind of the entire range of humanity that's interested in art and the interfaces with art. So it's in every way the best exposure that artists can get in order to be exposed to all of those different genres of appreciators. And it's also so inspiring when you're standing in the space, because the conversations that you have are varied and different. And the conversations really lend themselves to interesting questions and thought. And you get to hear feedback from people from their different perspectives about why they're appreciating art or why they're there. And that was really an exciting part of the experience for us.
Fascinating. Okay. So I'm trying to kind of help people visualize what the VSCO gallery was. As you're walking through, is it a lot of, photography apps like this? Is it individuals? Like you mentioned, students, galleries. What were we amongst here?
Well, those are the visitors. So in terms of who was a participant or an exhibitor, we were the only app, which was very exciting. All of the galleries inside of Scope are professional galleries, and they have to go through a stringent approval process to participate. So we went through 7 iterations back and forth with Scope to arrive on our final concept. So it was a long process. We started working on this together in July, and really it came together. I felt like the week before Thanksgiving, everything had been finished.
That's amazing. So, I mean, this is nearly 6 months in the making. I don't think people realize what goes into a show like this. It's insane how much work that is.
And Zach, to be candid, it was my first time creating a show at Scope or for Miami Art Week. And in my mind, I was like, how hard can it be? We're throwing 9 images. In order to do this properly, it felt really important when inviting artists to be able to have them come and not have the expense of framing or printing or shipping their images. So often in my career, which has been now 20 years as a professional photographer and writer, full 20 years. And so often in my career, there were opportunities that I just couldn't participate in because the cost was too high. Most people might not think about, but if you're printing or framing an image, it could be thousands of dollars. It could be, my piece was 60 by 40 to print and frame and ship that was like $3,000. So for an emerging artist, and many of our artists, the ones who had been my students, they're in their early 20s, they're starting out in their career, and that's an expense that I didn't want to offer an opportunity that somebody could not say yes to. And so Level Frames graciously partnered with us and very generously printed, framed, and shipped the images of all of the other artists. And then Bay Photo incredibly generously printed and framed and shipped my image, which was so big and on beautiful Hannah Mule paper. And they also printed beautiful booklets for us as takeaways for anybody that came into the gallery space. So really, like, we relied on partnerships to make this opportunity come true for our artists. And that's so important to me as somebody that was curating the experience, and so important to VSCO. We wanted to offer an opportunity for artists to be able to participate, because that's really what VSCO is doing. As you all know, it's creating a photography and getting the word out. The other thing that was so important is that we realized in the space, because we had limited wall space, and just to circle back and describe what that looks like so everyone really gets a full idea. You're inside a giant tent. It's not a triangle tent. It's one of those indestructible, a tornado could come through and it would maybe be okay, sort of all-weather tents, with the metal beams in the interior. And inside of that tent, there were probably 60 other galleries. So every gallery is side by side with another gallery, and you walk through aisles, and it's 5 aisles wide maybe, and then 10 galleries. No, it's more than that. So it's an enormous space. It's like a football field. It's a football field of space filled with art galleries. And for the most part, all of the walls are entirely white and the floor is concrete gray. And it's just a boring gray. Well, I knew that from attending as a guest. And when we were thinking about the space, I thought, okay, I'm a person that looks up and down and around. That's what we're taught to do as photographers, is to see everything in the frame and then what's just outside the frame. So thinking about it as a frame, we had a rectangle space, so it lends itself well to that. What could be to make it more dynamic, inviting, and what would have people come into our space instead of going to someone else's, or what would allow them to linger a bit? So the idea was we had a black floor, we had white walls. My image was the only color image in the show, and it was in the center. It was on a black wall of its own, and it was flanked by beautiful black and white images all around. And then we had this fantastic furniture that was black surrounding the image. And we had a chair called the Fluffy, and the Fluffy by Nørdikka Collective. It's an iconed chair, a very famous Nordic designer. And the Fluffy is this shaggy hair. It comes with its own hairdresser. And, it's just, to me, it was like having our own buffalo in the space. And the whole exhibit has a Western theme. It's very Americana. But in a minute, I'm sure we'll get to the theme of the show. But that's when you're walking. And the other neat thing about the whole experience is that tent is on the sand. So you're right adjacent to the ocean. You're on Miami Beach. There's so much energy, so many people coming through. I think Scope is as much, or Miami Art Week, Art Basel is as much a part of people watching. That's the art, people outrageous outfits. It's like a costume party, essentially, the whole thing. And you can really wear whatever you want. Some of the things I saw, anyway, it was pretty tremendous. So it's a party on a party on a party. It's an art show within an art show within an art show. It's a pretty fabulous experience if you ever get a chance to go.
Yeah, sounds insane. I need to make a way to get to Miami Scope next year, Art Basel Week. I want to get back to this, but just one of the things I want to point out is your tremendous networking skills here. You're working with us, you're working with Bay Photo, with Nørdikka, with all these photographers that pulling all this together. I want to come back to that. But before we get, farther in, who you mentioned that there was like your photo in the middle and then other people's photos surrounding that. Who were those people? Where did they come from? How, you said that you're curating this. Like, how did you go about doing that?
So, that circles me back to in thinking through what would be included and who would be included. We were talking about how, given our limited space on the walls, do we get to include additional imagery? There was only space for 9 images if we wanted them to have a sizable impact in terms of their scale. Yeah. And in thinking through that, because my background's also in books, I thought, let's make a book. If we make a book, then we include 100 photographers in that book. And so VSCO did a call out for photography, and the theme was Go West, and 100 photographers approximately participated, and their imagery is so beautiful. And we had a place on a coffee table inside the gallery with this beautifully curated book by Maggie. Maggie from VSCO curated it. It's gorgeous. And it was open in the gallery. And so people could look at the walls, but they could also flip through this book. And part of creating it was to have a tactile experience. So we have the furry chair, the fluffy, and then we also have this book where you can flip through pages and get a sense of additional imagery. And I think that just really gave some weight to the exhibit and expanded the thought and helped the theme go on. So really.
So it's not only the photos on the walls, there's also a book. There's a lot to look through.
A lot to look through. And then there's also a curatorial statement. And then when you were in the space, if you scanned over a QR code, which was by every image, then you could also read about each of the photographers that are in the exhibit, the artists, and their artist statement for their piece of work. So you could read my thesis about why the works fit together, and then everyone's individual statement about why they created that piece and who they are as an artist.
Wow. Okay. So we just got to see this. I know there's a video that we can kind of play through. So let's take a look at that. And maybe you could tell us what we're going to be seeing and maybe explain that curatorial statement.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. What you're about to see is a beautiful video created by Ashley Robinson of her time walking through the gallery at Scope. I was so fortunate to have Ash come from VSCO to be with us for the whole week and to support this experience. And Ash is also a creator and artist herself, so having her perspective was really valuable for myself and for our other artists. The video is a walkthrough of the experience at Scope, and it shows our gallery, and it also shows details of some of the other galleries and just what it's like to be a firsthand participant. So it's really fun to see. The title of our exhibit was The Modern Contrast of the American Identity. The Modern Contrast of the American Identity brings together a dynamic collection of works that explore identity, culture, and the American experience through the timeless medium of photography. Each artist in the exhibit offers a unique lens of the multifaceted concept of what it means to be American, using primarily monochrome imagery to emphasize form, emotion, and narrative. Liza Gershman's powerful image of 2 individuals wrapped in the American flag symbolizes unity and diversity within the American identity, inviting viewers to reflect on shared symbols and their complex meanings. The juxtaposition of the 2 figures against an expansive landscape speaks to themes of belonging and representation in the vast cultural tapestry of the United States. Will Forster's minimalist work plays with the tension between presence and absence, using lines and silhouettes to create a haunting image that speaks to the digital age's fragmented sense of self. His pieces encourage viewers to question how technology influences identity and perception in modern America. Emily Jahar's striking portrait captures the raw vulnerability and strength of her subject, using light and shadow to reveal the intricate emotions beneath the surface. Her work dives into the personal narrative behind identity, exploring race, gender, and individuality in today's America. Weston Applegate's silhouette of a cowboy figure nods to traditional Americana while reimagining it through a contemporary lens. His stark, dramatic imagery questions the mythos of the American West, offering a deeper look at masculinity, heritage, and cultural ideas. Kyla Reese's shadow figures evokes a dreamlike, introspective quality, blurring the lines between reality and imagination. Her work explores themes of self-reflection and internal struggles, presenting an abstracted view of identity that resonates with the complexities of the American psyche. Tom Sanders captures the rugged individualism of the American cowboy, offering a historical and cultural commentary on the enduring symbols of the American West. His photographs remind us of the myths and realities that have shaped the American self over time. Dulce Bautista's thought-provoking piece explores questions of identity and self-worth with text embedded on the image that forces viewers to confront societal expectations and personal insecurities. Her work speaks to the intersection of race, self-perception, and the pressures to conform to an idealized American image. Jake Meyer's abstract composition of blurred figures conveys a sense of collective identity in flux, as individuals blend together in a mass of motion and energy. His work suggests the complexities of navigating personal and national identity in a constantly shifting American landscape. Martine Severin's evocative portrait focuses on the quiet strength and grace of her subject, portraying beauty and resilience in a raw, unfiltered manner. Her work delves into the themes of race, femininity, and cultural heritage, offering a deeply personal take on the American self. Together, these artists present a rich tapestry of American identity, using the black and white medium to strip away distractions and focus on the core elements of what it means to belong, to be seen, and to define oneself within the context of America. Each piece invites viewers to consider the dualities of the American experience, individuality and community, tradition and progress, light and shadow.
Wow, these are unbelievable images, and just the layout, the whole experience looks like it was absolutely amazing. I mean, what was the reception like? I don't know if you have any interesting stories or just how did it go?
We really had just such positive feedback. So many people stopped by to ask us deeper questions. And I think what was so very neat about our space that was different from others is that most of the galleries, or all of the galleries really, within scope, they have a representative from a gallery owner and not the actual artist. We had 7 of our 9 artists in the space, and also we had Ashley. And so we could all speak to the pieces and our experience and invite our viewers in for a deeper conversation. And what I found was that that was really exciting to the audience because they were having a hands-on experience with the actual creator of the pieces. So it was really well received. And I'm very proud of the work we did. I'm really excited about it, and it was an honor to be there. It was an honor to be with all of the other artists, and to know that at some point I had played a part in their development or enrichment was one of the biggest honors of my life so far. So
yeah, that's amazing. I'm going to make sure that we link to all of those creators in the show notes. Also to Ashley Robinson, her amazing botanical fashion, not related to any of this, but just like, you have to see it. It's so cool. So I'm curious, all these creators are there at Scope. I mean, were they talking with gallery owners? Was there any kind of like opportunities that came up? Like, how did that go for them?
Yeah, I think none of us know quite yet what will come from this. And my mom came for 2 days, and what she told us a story, and I thought it was such an important story to tell. And it was a story about optimism and encouragement. And she's a painter. She's an oil painter. And she shared that she had done a show and sold nothing. Nothing came of the show. And 1 year later, a woman approached her and said, "It's built. My house is built. I'm ready for your piece." And my mom said, "What are you talking about?" And this woman said, "No, we built the house and we designed the alcove where your painting is going, and I'm ready to buy it now." And this woman had designed an entire portion of her home for a painting of my mom's without ever sharing that information. And so the moral of the story is, who knows what will come from this? It could be something tomorrow. It could be something this afternoon. It could be something in 6 months or a year or 2 years. For me, what's really important is we had an opportunity to come together as artists. We had an opportunity to do something that was meaningful, that had an important message. We asked important questions. We were really proud of the work we did and proud to be together. We were really proud to be part of VSCO for this experience, and really proud to be part of Scope. We were, I would say, like, nurtured by VSCO to be our best artist selves. And that's the whole premise of what VSCO is doing. And we also all had opportunities to talk with a gazillion people. So I don't know what will come from it specifically for anyone. I just think it's endless possibilities and hope. And even if even if there's not some sort of a future dollar to dollar sort of experience from this, what I do know is that we had a story to tell and share, and a lot of people listened and asked questions, and it was a meaningful project, and we had something to say that was timely and important. And we asked of our viewers to consider, what does it mean to you to be an American right now? And our work helped people move through that question in their minds. And the way that I curated the space from left to right, like you would read a book, helped people to go through the imagery to think through this. And, end in a final question. Dulce's piece is the final piece to the far right. And it's a piece that literally has text on it that says, "Am I good enough?" And my piece in the middle, this color piece of two figures embracing nude under a giant American flag in nature, to me, that is the best that we can offer. It's hope, it's freedom, it's color, it's vibrant, it's, non-judgment. It's the best chance we have of who we are. And then we had some pieces that were a darker version of that, so the self-identity crisis, the questioning, the confusion. So I think, for us, that was the excitement of having people really stop and take time to talk with us and to actually look, because this is an experience where there's so much going on. You can just zoom by it like it's a Disneyland ride, which is great. And also people really engaged with our space and our artist. And that's a gift.